Hello and welcome to First Chapter Friday. Today I'll be reading to you an autobiography by Simone Biles, and that is Courage to Soar. Chapter 1, Decision Day. You will not always be strong, but you can always be brave. Bo Taplin, writer. My eyes stayed glued to the Jumbotron high above the arena. It was day 2 of the 2011 Visa National Championships in St. Paul, Minnesota, and I was waiting to see if I'd made the United States Gymnastics, US Women's Artistic Junior Team. My heart was pounding so hard that I thought everyone could hear it. After competing against the best of the best in my sport, had I actually made the cut? We all knew the rules. Only the most qualified gymnasts would make the team. And as always, USAG coordinator Marta Caroli would have the final say on which gymnasts and how many would represent our country. For years, I dreamed of being one of those powerful girls in their shimmering leotards, flying through the air, sticking the landing every time. I'd imagined having medals around my neck, chalk dust on my legs, and a bright smile on my face. More than anything in the world, I wanted to be chosen for the team. My parents, Ron and Nellie, have always taught me that the first step to make dreams real is to ask for God's guidance. Did I mention I've been doing that all year? In church every Sunday with my younger sister, Adria, at my side, I'd kneel with my eyes tightly shut and pray for my family and my teammates. I'd then visualize making the national team, imagining it like a movie. That was my prayer, and I believed God was with me on this. After all, He'd given me not just my love of gymnastics, but also the courage to fly above the arena floor. But had I done enough? As I held my breath and gazed up at the screen, all I could do was hope. At the time, I was 14 and small for my age. A 4 feet 8-inch ball of nonstop energy, I like to say. I was actually 4 feet 9, just so I could feel taller. But I was also strong. I'd been born with the kind of biceps and muscled calves that back in 3rd grade had earned me the nickname Swolger, a cross between swollen and soldier. Some girls might have been offended by that, and at first I did think it was kind of mean, but after a while I embraced it. I was like, yeah, I'm stronger than half the boys in my class, so don't mess with me. It helped that I was starting to rack up some wins in gymnastic meets where most of my teammates had muscles too. By the time I got to nationals, I'd been training at Bannon's Gymnastics in Houston, Texas since I was 6. Believe it or not, that's actually pretty late for an elite gymnast. Most girls are flipping and tumbling in Mommy and Me classes before they're 3, so in a way, I'd been playing catch-up. But if there's one thing everyone knows about me, it's I love a challenge. Maybe because I was always so much smaller than everyone around me, I had this fierce drive to prove myself. So if someone told me to do 5 push-ups, I'd do 10. If someone tried to tell me I couldn't perform a skill, except for maybe on bars, but we'll get to that later, it only made me want to do that skill flawlessly. That didn't mean I was reckless. Competitive gymnastics can be a dangerous sport, and I understood just how important it was to be well prepared. In competition, we always performed the skills we practiced and mastered in the gym, because as any gymnast can tell you, there's a fine line between being courageous and ending up with a major injury. At the Visa National Championships, I'd had to walk that line. Marta Caroli had sent word through my coach, Amy Borman, that she wanted to see me perform the Amanar, aka the 2.5 twist, which includes a round-off back handspring entry and a 2.5 twist on the layout. In other words, it is one of the hardest vaults in the world, and I had never performed it in competition. Amy, I'm not ready, I said, hyperventilating. I haven't practiced the 2.5 enough. It's not safe. Simone, you're the one who has to go out there and do the vault, she told me calmly. So whatever you decide, I'll support you. In the end, I stuck with my planned back handspring double twisting Yurchenko, a vault I knew I could pull off. But my execution that day wasn't the greatest. I'd blasted off the vault with too much power, which caused me to lose control and make an obvious hop on the landing. Long story short, I barely squeaked out a tie for 7th on the vault. Then again, given that this was my first season as an elite junior gymnast, I'd medaled more than I thought I would. To my surprise, I even finished first in some events at earlier meets. But as I went up against the girls I admired, stars like Lexi Priestman, Caitlin Ohashi, Madison Desch, and Amelia Hundley, I was intimidated by how good they were. There was something else, too. I thought that if I went out and beat these girls, they wouldn't like me. And more than anything, I wanted these girls to see me as one of them. At Nationals, this lack of confidence had messed with my head. Now as I watched the mega screen where the roster of names would appear, I felt deep down that I couldn't have done better. Maybe if I trained more, spent longer hours practicing in the gym, mastering more challenging skills like the amanar, I might be feeling less scared. A roar went up in the arena as the name of the highest-scoring junior gymnast lit the screen, Caitlin Ohashi. No surprise there. Caitlin had killed it on her routines. I cheered for her loudly. One by one, the rest of the names appeared on the overhead screen. Number 2, Kyla Ross. Number 3, Sarah Finnegan. Number 4, Lexi Priestman. I held my breath, wishing with everything in me that my name would be next. Number 10, number 11, number 12. And then came the final girl, Madison Desch, number 13. One row below the list of winners at number 14, I saw my own name. I'd missed making the junior national team by 1 spot. 1. I kept the smile plastered on my face as an announcer called each new team member to the stage. The rest of us stood on the sidelines as the chosen ones laughed and high-fived and hugged each other. As devastated as I felt, I was still happy for the other girls. They'd worked hard to make it this far. Still, I had to swallow my own disappointment as I watched photographers snap pictures that would later appear in the USA Gymnast magazine, Sports Illustrated, Time for Kids, all the glossies that I'd pored over in my bedroom at home, admiring the gymnast who'd reached the top of the sport. Tears were bubbling up inside me, but I refused to let the other girls or the coaches see me cry. I kept telling myself I'd done my best, trying to drown out the little voice in my head that whispered, "But did you really? Couldn't you have worked a little harder? Why didn't you do more?" The truth is that my heart was breaking. I had come to the Nationals with the goal of making the 2011 team, and it didn't happen. I simply hadn't been good enough. That's how my journey as an elite gymnast began, with a defeat that put an ache in my heart and doubts in my mind. As much as my family and coaches had cheered me on through hours and hours of training, through wobbles and missteps, through bumps and bruises, I was always secretly afraid that I'd let them and myself down. Maybe it's good we don't know what will happen next in our stories, because if we did, we might not turn the page. Or maybe we might skip ahead and never experience the good that comes out of the hard moment we're living through. I thought my failure at the 2011 Nationals was an ending, but it was really a beginning, a turning point on a journey I still can't believe I'm taking. No one is more surprised than I am that the little girl with the big muscles ended up on a path from foster care to an Olympic stadium in the Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Some might call that destiny. I call it a blessing, a gift from God, and a miracle. What I love about this book is that this is a young woman who powers through her hardships, and she is optimistic, and she just has such a perseverance that I wish more people take after Simone Biles, because taking defeat and turning it into success, that's what we should all be doing. So I hope that you will finish reading this book. Just because you know her through the media, this is a much better way to get inside someone's head and to understand them by reading their autobiography in this case. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.